Morning, dear children. Come back to online classes. Today we are going to learn History Chapter 2 from Trade to Territory. Children, Aurangzeb was the last of the powerful Mughal rulers. He established control over a very large part of the territory that is now known as India. After his death in 1707, many Mughal governors and big zamindars began asserting their authority and establishing regional kingdoms. As powerful regional kingdoms emerged in various parts of India, Delhi could no longer function as an effective center. By the second half of the 18th century, however, a new power was emerging on the political horizon, the British. Did you know that the British originally came as a small trading company and were reluctant to acquire territories? How then did they come to be masters of a vast empire? In this chapter, you will see how this came about. Children, uh, Aurangzeb was the last powerful Mughal ruler. After Aurangzeb death, Mughal governors and big zamindar they began asserting their authority and started establishing regional kingdoms. So, by the half of 18th century, new power emerged. That is on the political horizon. What is that? The British. Did you know that the British why do British came to India? Actually, British came to India for trade. So slowly they started to rule the. Now the topic East India Company comes east. In 1600, the East India Company acquired a charter from the ruler of England, Queen Elizabeth I, granting it the sole right to trade with the East. Here, the charter means a formal statement of the rights of a country's people or an organization or a particular group that is agreed by or demanded from a ruler or government. This meant that no other trading group in England could compete with the East India Company. With this charter, the company could venture across the oceans looking for new lands from which it could buy goods at a cheap price and carry them back to Europe to sell at higher prices. The company did not have to fear competition from other English trading companies. Mercantile trading companies in those days made profit primarily by excluding competition so that they could buy cheap and sell dear. Mercantile here means a business enterprise that makes profit primarily through trade, buying goods cheap and selling them at higher prices. The Royal Charter, however, could not prevent other European powers from entering the eastern markets. By the time the first English ship sailed down the west coast of Africa, round the Cape of Good Hope, and crossed the Indian Ocean, the Portuguese had already established their presence in the western coast of India and had their base in Goa. In fact, it was Vasco da Gama, a Portuguese explorer, who had discovered this sea route to India in 1498. Who had discovered this sea route to India in 1498. By the early 7th century, the Dutch too were exploring the possibilities of trade in the Indian Ocean. Soon, the French traders arrived on the scene. So, children, you have seen that Portuguese explorer Vasco da Gama he discovered sea route to India. So, Portuguese also arrived, and next is in early 17th century, Dutch also came to India. Then French traders they also arrived on the scene. The problem was that All the companies were interested in buying the same things. The fine qualities of cotton and silk produced in India had a big market in Europe. Pepper, cloves, cardamom, and cinnamon too were in great demand. These all are spices which are in great demand. Competition amongst the European companies inevitably pushed up the prices at which these goods could be purchased, and this reduced the profits that could be earned. The only way the trading companies could flourish was by eliminating rival competitors. The urge to secure market therefore led to fierce battles between the trading companies. Through the 7th and 18th centuries, they regularly sank each other's ships, blockaded routes, and prevented rival ships from moving with supplies of goods. Trade was carried on with arms, and trading posts were protected through fortification. This effort to fortify settlements and carry on profitable trade also led to intense conflict with local rulers. The company therefore found it difficult to separate trade from politics. So, children, in this paragraph, we have seen that how the French, the Dutch, and the Portuguese, they all came to India for trade together, and there was a fight, a fierce battle between these trading companies. As you have seen in 17th and 18th century, they started regularly to sank each other's ships. They blockaded routes and also prevented rival ships from moving the supplies of the goods. So in this way, the fight had started. Next is East India Company begins trade in Bengal. The first English factory was set up on the banks of the river Hooghly in 1651. This was the base from which the company's traders, known at that time as factors, operated. The factory had a warehouse where goods for exports were stored. Warehouse means a storehouse where the goods are stored, and it had offices where company's officials sat. As trade expanded, the company persuaded merchants and traders to come and settle near the factory. As by 1696, it began building a fort around the settlement. 2 years later, it bribed Mughal officials into giving the company zamindari rights over three villages. One of that was Kalikata, which later grew into the city of Calcutta or Kolkata, as it is known today. It also persuaded the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb to issue a farman. Farman here means a royal edict, a royal order, granting the company the right to trade duty free. The company tried continuously to press for more concessions and manipulate existing privileges. Aurangzeb's farman, for instance, had granted only the company the right to trade duty free, but officials of the company who were carrying on private trade on the side were expected to pay duty. This they refused to pay, causing an enormous loss of revenue of Bengal. How could the Nawab of Bengal, Murshid Quli Khan, not protest? In this paragraph, we have seen that how they started building factory, and also factory had a warehouse to store goods, and also they asked merchants and traders to come and settle near the factory. So they bribed Mughal officials into giving the company zamindari rights over three villages. They persuaded the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb to issue a farman granting the company the right to trade duty free. Here the word bribed Bribe means dishonestly persuade to act in one's favor by a gift of money or other inducement. And also, Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb, they persuaded Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb to issue a farman granting the company the right to trade duty free. So, what is duty free? Duty free means goods that are exempt from payment of duty. On the other word, it refers to the act of being able to purchase an item in particular circumstances without paying import, sales, value added, or any other taxes. So, in this way, the company tried continuously to press for more concessions and manipulate existing privileges. Aurangzeb Farman had granted only the company the right to trade duty free, but officials of the company who were carrying on private trade on the side were exempted to pay the duty. So, this they refused to pay, causing enormous loss of revenue for Bengal. Then how could the Nawab of Bengal, Murshid Quli Khan, not